errant melody. The diligent herald sat in its dock, bearding almost complete. Calculus Logi Fexion stood on the overlook that blistered off the bridge deck, allowing him a clear view of the loading ramps below. The last of the cargo was being carried aboard. He signaled the engine seer to secure the load via the direct voxcaster mounted above the observation window, placed there precisely for this purpose. Farther out, his gaze settled on the immense bulk of the spine space docks. From this angle, an optical illusion made it appear as if the 25-mile-long dock simply sank into the misty clouds of grimness. In truth, it came nowhere near the planet's surface, instead jutting outward from the orbiting moon, a stable dockyard untouched by the planet's shifting gravity field. A separate tether ran the length from planet to dock, a segmented orbit link maintained by massive way stations. In times of threat, be it invasion or Xeno's incursion, the tether could be severed, the stations retracting to the moon's surface where they stacked together into a fortified array. It was a far cry from the elegant Dawn Tower on Manifold Dawn, with its fully integrated elevator spire and hab blocks. But it was the pride of Archmagos Sensorax Centauri's forge, and with its lunar cargo launch system, it halved loading times for planetary goods. "Loading complete," announced the ship's Logi Mechanicus. Fexion acknowledged with a burst of binaric code, locking down the bay doors. Then he turned and strode onto the diligent herald's command bridge. "Ready for departure," he said, settling into the command throne. Alpha Braylon was seated at a secondary weapon console. The gunnery controls were long unlinked, holdovers from when the Herald served as a fleet auxiliary during the Great War, but the console still lit up, and it gave her something to do. She wasn't certified for ship operations, but Fexion had noticed her spending long hours combing through the ship's internal databases since their return from Grimness. He glanced at her, then turned to the Logis. "Do we have the manifest logged?" "Hold 3 and 6 are full," the Logis replied. "We are leaving under ballast," Fexion sighed. Departing half-empty meant missed profit. But so be it. "Passengers?" he asked. 203 paying passengers, 47 working their passage. Braylon snorted softly. "If they wanted to travel in style, they wouldn't pick us." She wasn't wrong. The Diligent Herald was no passenger liner, but with 800 capacity dormitories, assuming close quarters and low hygiene tolerance, there was room enough for many. Those working their passage were mostly trained techs and void hands hopping world to world, trading service for passage. They'd run diagnostics, scrub fluid intakes, or recalibrate logic spines in exchange for air and rations. Braylon's eyes flicked across the flickering green glow of her console. She was scrolling through a list of stored cultural archives, legends, hymns, and old tales pulled from NihtWyrtha's oral vaults and Cogfane recorders. Something had been nagging her since Grimness. A half-memory. Rain and oil. The thrum of engines and hymnals echoing across the great forges. She remembered Mechanicus landers touching down, black silhouettes against storm clouds, Skitarii disembarking in tight phalanxes, augmetics gleaming. Wigathane guards stood beside them, javelins upright, in ceremonial dress in the rain. She had watched from the catwalks. That day she'd decided what she wanted to become. But that wasn't all. There had been a scop, an old singer, standing beneath a dripping tarp, reciting a song in Old Werthen. "Sio hlafdaigeodi," and the lady did go. Fexion ignored her murmuring. He sent a crisp binaric pulse to the navigator helmsman. "Break docking clamps." The navigator moved a hand to the release console. "Cancel that order," Braylon barked, snapping upright. The navigator froze. Fexion unstrapped from the throne and stepped toward her, voice sharp. "What is the meaning of this?" Braylon didn't look at him. Her face was alight with something strange, almost joy. A grin crept across her features. "The lady," she said, as if it explained everything. "What?" Instead of answering, Braylon keyed into the voxcaster that linked to the ship's archival cogitators. A dormant servitor stuttered to life, its vox unit sparking as it connected with the old hymn banks. Then the voice began to sing.
En sio dige eode heodide en sio dige. Beart bisen up ECG on hand, heo kom mid feardit o vitsige this land, en sio dige eode heodide en sio dige. Ak se hiranama se hier sin, wag where flode on draf high in.
Then, beneath the old tongue, the ship's low-voiced translator-servitor began to speak in Gothic.
And the lady did go, she did. And the lady, with banners aloft and steel in her hand, she marched on the tide to conquer the land. And the lady did go, she did, and the lady. But the sea took her name, and the sea took her kin. The waves rose up and pulled them all in.
Phyxian froze. The words, the rhythm. It was the same song the woman had sung on the streets of Trinova, just moments before they found her dead in the mist. This version wasn't corrupted. It was archived, stored, intact here. Somehow the ship already knew the song. Braylon looked pleased with herself. I learned it as a child, she said, but couldn't place it because it was sung in High Gothic. Phyxian shook his head, frowning. He didn't understand her reaction, not fully. It would be sung in a mournful, rhythmic chant, Braylon continued. By sailors or warriors, maybe. A warning against arrogance, against defying the sea. It's a verse from the Leothbjorgis Thorhluftig, the mountain and the lady. An ancient legend from NihtWyrtha. Phyxian exhaled. Well done. You found the song the woman in the street was singing. Now can we go? Braylon turned sharply, her voice edged now. How does an indentured mechanicus worker from Grimness know an obscure verse from NihtWyrtha, one I barely remembered, and I was born there? Phyxian paused. His mind ticked through logical paths. Possibilities aligned and collapsed. Perhaps the woman had overheard it from a novice Astra-Wigathane armsman? Unlikely. They rarely mingled with local populations. Had she traveled to NihtWyrtha? Even less likely. Civilian travel off-world was prohibitively restricted, and yet, every victim, according to the latest reports, had been heard singing that same verse before their deaths. There was no clear or rational explanation, which made it worse. Phyxian leaned back, resigning himself. Very well, he said. We'll investigate. He glanced sideways at Braylon, who was already pulling up subdirectories and scanning the metadata of the file. If only, he added, because I know you won't let it go the entire way home.